World War II, a global conflict of unprecedented scale and brutality, witnessed numerous atrocities. Among them, the horrors perpetrated by Unit 731 of the Imperial Japanese Army stand as a chilling testament to human cruelty. This essay delves into the dark history of Unit 731, exposing its sinister operations and the lasting impact of its crimes against humanity. It explores the unimaginable suffering inflicted upon innocent victims in the name of scientific research and military ambition. The Second World War saw an escalation of violence against civilians and prisoners of war. Nazi Germany's systematic extermination of Jews and other minorities remains a stark reminder of the depths of human depravity. Yet, the atrocities committed by Unit 731 in the Far East often receive less attention. These acts of barbarism, hidden from the world for decades, deserve equal condemnation and remembrance. The systematic torture, mutilation, and murder of thousands of men, women, and children by Unit 731 constitute a dark chapter in human history. Their story is not just about the past, it serves as a warning for the future. We must confront the horrors of Unit 731 to ensure such atrocities are never repeated. Unit 731, cloaked in secrecy, emerged in the 1930s under the guise of a water purification unit. Located in the Pingfang district near Harbin, in Japanese-occupied Manchuria, this facility became a hub for biological and chemical warfare research. However, its true purpose was far more sinister. Behind the facade of water purification, Unit 731 housed a vast network of laboratories, prison camps, and crematoria. At the helm of this gruesome enterprise was Shiro Ishii, a military physician known for his ambition and ruthlessness. Under his leadership, Unit 731 recruited hundreds of doctors, scientists, and support staff who were lured by promises of career advancement and scientific discovery. The unit's true activities remained shrouded in secrecy, and its personnel were sworn to silence. The Japanese government, driven by imperial ambitions and a desire for military dominance, provided tacit approval and funding for Unit 731's operations. The unit's activities were seen as crucial to Japan's war effort, potentially providing a decisive advantage in the conflict. This state-sanctioned barbarity would have devastating consequences for thousands of innocent victims. Within the confines of Unit 731, human beings were stripped of their dignity and reduced to mere experimental subjects. Men, women, and children, primarily Chinese and Soviet prisoners of war, were subjected to unimaginable horrors. These victims, referred to as logs, endured cruel and inhumane experiments. One of the most notorious involved vivisections without anesthesia. Victims were cut open alive, their organs studied. Amputations were performed without pain relief. These procedures were often carried out while the victims were still conscious. Beyond vivisections, Unit 731 conducted other horrific experiments. Prisoners were infected with deadly diseases to study their progression. Others were exposed to extreme temperatures and used as test subjects for weapons. The cruelty knew no bounds. These experiments left an indelible stain on humanity. The full extent of Unit 731's atrocities may never be known, as many records were destroyed by the Japanese military at the end of the war. However, the testimonies of survivors and witnesses provide a chilling glimpse into the horrors that transpired within the unit's walls. These accounts, often delivered with great difficulty and emotional pain, paint a vivid picture of the suffering endured by the victims. One survivor, a Chinese man who was captured and sent to Unit 731 as a young boy, recalled witnessing fellow prisoners being subjected to vivisections. He described the screams that echoed through the corridors, the stench of blood and disinfectant, and the utter terror that gripped everyone who witnessed the horrors. His testimony, along with others like it, stands as a powerful reminder of the human cost of Unit 731's actions. Another survivor, a female nurse who was forced to work at Unit 731, described the psychological toll of witnessing such atrocities. She spoke of the nightmares that haunted her, the guilt and shame she carried, and the difficulty of finding peace after witnessing such unimaginable cruelty. Her story highlights the lasting impact of Unit 731's crimes, not just on the victims, but also on those forced to participate in the horrors. Section 5. the Shroud of Secrecy, and the Evasion of Justice. As World War II ended, the Japanese military destroyed evidence of Unit 731's crimes. Facilities were demolished, documents burned, and victims silenced. Personnel were sworn to secrecy under threat of severe consequences. Many perpetrators escaped justice in the post-war chaos. Some received immunity in exchange for their knowledge. Others blended into civilian life, their secrets buried. The lack of accountability left victims' families with a profound sense of injustice. The secrecy hindered efforts to hold those responsible accountable. Decades later, historians and journalists revealed the full extent of the atrocities. Their efforts brought renewed calls for justice. Section 6. Scars on History, Lessons for the Future. The legacy of Unit 731 continues to haunt us today. The atrocities committed in the name of science and progress serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition, the fragility of human morality, and the devastating consequences of unchecked power. The story of Unit 731 is not just a tale of past horrors, but also a cautionary tale for the present and the future. The lack of accountability for the perpetrators of these crimes remains a source of anger and frustration for many. It underscores the need for international mechanisms to ensure that such atrocities are never forgotten, and that those responsible for crimes against humanity are held accountable, regardless of their nationality or the passage of time. Justice delayed is justice denied. The horrors of Unit 731 also raise important ethical questions about the limits of scientific inquiry and the responsibility of scientists to uphold human rights. The pursuit of knowledge can never justify the infliction of such suffering. Scientists and researchers have a moral obligation to ensure that their work does not contribute to human rights abuses. Section 7. The ongoing quest for acknowledgement and reparations. In recent decades, there has been a growing movement to acknowledge the atrocities committed by Unit 731 and seek justice for the victims. Survivors and their families have come forward to share their stories, demanding recognition of their suffering and compensation for the horrors they endured. Their voices have helped to break the silence surrounding Unit 731 and bring international attention to this dark chapter of history. However, the Japanese government's response to these calls for justice has been mixed. While some officials have expressed remorse and acknowledged the suffering caused by Japan's wartime actions, others continue to deny or downplay the atrocities committed by Unit 731. This lack of full accountability and meaningful reparations remains a source of pain and frustration for the victims and their families. The fight for justice and recognition is an uphill battle, but it is a battle worth fighting. Acknowledging the horrors of the past is essential for healing the wounds of history and preventing such atrocities from happening again. The international community must continue to pressure the Japanese government to fully acknowledge its wartime crimes, provide meaningful reparations to the victims, and ensure that the lessons of Unit 731 are never forgotten. Section 8. Remembering Unit 731. A moral imperative. Remembering Unit 731 is not about dwelling on the past, but about learning from it. It is a reminder of the fragility of peace and the constant need to safeguard human rights and dignity. By confronting the horrors of history, we can work towards a future where such atrocities are unthinkable. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that the sacrifices of the victims were not in vain. The story of Unit 731 must be told and retold, passed down through generations as a warning and a call to action. We must never forget the victims, their suffering, and the lessons learned from their ordeal. Only by remembering the past can we hope to build a future free from such horrors. Silence is not an option. We owe it to the victims of Unit 731 and to ourselves to remember, to learn, and to act.